Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're just going to be watching the price of mainly Bitcoin here, seeing if we're basically going to hold this or if we're heading down. So let's just sit back and see what happens, right? Sit back and see what happens. Currently Bitcoin's at around 35.2, so it's at 35.2, and we will see if it holds up or if we're heading down in the short term. So if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. I'll just post this in a couple different places and then we will go ahead and jump in. Make sure you subscribe. So currently we are at 35.3. Currently we're at 35.3. The low that we had earlier was around 34.4. We're not that far away from that level. So we'll see what happens here. Obviously, if we did get a correction, which arguably we're already in about an 18% correction from the top, or looks like 16, 18 at the local bottom. Okay, so if we did get a correction here, it's not like anyone would be that surprised. But we've been saying that for a long time, of course. So we'll see if this is finally something to marvel at, see if it comes crashing back down or not. So here we are, we're at 34,940. We'll switch this over to a minute time frame so we can see what's going on. 34,899. We did just get a weekly close earlier. Obviously we're still pretty far away from the bull market support band, but for those who follow the bull market support band, like we've been talking about for a long time, let's just see exactly where they currently are. So they're still pretty far away, as you can see. The 20-week SMA is at 18,265, and the 21-week EMA is at 20,762. So we're pretty far away from those levels. We don't know if we're going to get a dump quite to those levels or not. But if we do, it's not that big of a deal. We just would want to hold the line, right? And we're actually getting a pretty big pullback right here, all the way back down to 34,500. So a pretty nice pullback, and we'll keep on following this, because if it does, we're going to want to keep an eye on the other coins, right? We're going to want to keep an eye on these coins, Ethereum, Link, ADA, DOT. See how they react. Obviously, as we've said before, if Bitcoin corrects, they will have knee-jerk reactions, right? They will likely correct with it. It's not like we're going to watch Bitcoin. It's not like there's a possibility of watching Bitcoin correct and then everything else just more or less stays humdrum. No, they'll probably correct too. It doesn't mean they can't then recover whenever Bitcoin stabilizes, but in the short term, if Bitcoin's correcting, then rest assured, most likely the other coins will correct as well. And this is, of course, the dangers of coming in and buying at insane levels of overvaluation, right? It's all fun and games for a while, when all the rational minds that say, it might be nice to, or might be worthwhile to take profits. But for a long time, the people that just say Bitcoin only goes up, it does work for a while, and maybe it'll still work, right? I mean, maybe Bitcoin will bounce back up and be at 38K tomorrow, or maybe it won't. So again, this is it's a long game. You can get on the train when it makes sense to get on the train, hop off the train when it makes sense to hop off. But here we are, we're just going to see exactly how high this goes, and or how low it goes in the short term. And if we do get a correction, remember, we still have a long way to go before we get to the bull market support. And we're not saying we're going to get to that level by any means in the short term. Even if we were to get to that level, it could take it weeks to get there, months maybe. It's just something we want to keep our eyes on, right? It's just something we want to keep our eyes on in the event of a correction. The Ethereum support band, let's go check that out. Let's go see where the Ethereum bull market support is, because it's, I mean, it's pretty low. We got to switch it on the weekly. So the Ethereum bull market support is all the way down. It ranges from 561 up to 629. Again, we're not saying we're going to drop to those levels, and obviously if we did drop, these are going to continue to come up, so by the time we meet them, they could be a lot higher. There's of course no guarantee that we hold them, but that's where we would in fact want to try to hold the line. Right? That's where we'd want to try to hold the line if we were to have a significant correction. So far this is not that significant. It's about about 18%, right? About 18%. Still nothing major. In fact, if you look at, say, the hourly, it's still nothing major yet, right? We've been still going up for a very long time without any significant pullbacks, right? We've been going up for a long time without any significant pullbacks. Maybe this will be our first, right? Maybe this will be our first significant pullback in a long time. Looks like we might be about to go below 34. But this has been a very slow bleed, right, throughout the entire day, and you can see us just getting pushed down right here, and we have been trending down now for basically the entire day. So keep an eye on that. Don't be surprised. I mean, we'll probably get some bounces, even if this is a correction lower. We'll probably get some bounces back up. That's entirely on the cards as well. Let's see if we go below 34. If we go below 34, let's try to hold here. Nope, there it goes, 33, down to the 33s. Things can move quickly. See what happens. I imagine some people are trying to buy the dip as well. Again, these are not, for me, these are simply just not times to be buying Bitcoin. There are plenty of times to buy Bitcoin, and when it's this far extended from the 20-week in a bull market, it's just simply not. It doesn't mean it won't go up, it's just the risk is too high for me. So let's see how far down this goes. We're at 33.6, 33.6 and falling. Ethereum's down to 1,050 or so. Link is still at 14 bucks, so it's still doing okay. I mean, it was at 14 bucks a few days ago as well, so it hasn't really changed a whole lot. All right, goodbye, Patrick. All right, well, I mean, as we said, even if this is a significant correction, there will be pushes back up. And so far, I think we're more or less on par with this one right here. In fact, if we were to take the bar pattern from, say, like the top here over to, say, that point, let's just take it from there, and let's overlay it where we currently are, something like that, you can see that, we're not necessarily completely, we haven't necessarily dropped that significantly. In fact, it lines up pretty well with the last one, but we'll see. I mean, every time is different. I mean, I personally would not mind a significant pullback, to be completely honest. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We're currently at 33.4. Looks like the low now is 38, or no, 33.4. Yeah, 33.4 is now the low. 33.4 for the day is the low. $33.3. So pretty nice dip. 33.3. It'd be pretty cool. I mean, honestly, it'd be pretty cool to go into the 20s, see 29 again. Another thing that we talked about in one of the streams, I thought this was pretty cool. Um, you know, if you take the bar pattern from say this point up to here, and just take the last bull cycle, the last bull market, and then overlay it, right, like that. This was around the same time we had a significant pullback in the last bull market. If you just take the line, draw it across, we had a pretty significant pullback at the same, sort of the same point. I mean, it happened in April, but we did. So we'll see. I mean, at this point, we're at 33.8. Again, our local top, our global top is 42. As we joked earlier, maybe 42 is the answer to everything. If you get that joke. Ethereum's is going down a little bit here. Let's see where the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio is still above 0.03. So it is still holding up right now. I mean, it's obviously not as good as it was earlier today, but it's still doing okay. It's 0.0303. But again, remember, when Bitcoin volatility is high, altcoins will react more so. Generally speaking, they'll react even more so. But again, let's see our total correction at this point. Let's see if we're above 20% yet. Are we above 20%? Yeah, we are. So we hit a 20.64% correction. So far we saw about a 20% correction, which was down. The low was 33,326. So about a little over $1,000 from where this bounce is right now. But you know, when you zoom out, of course, I mean, you can see we have had similar moves, right? We have had similar moves in the past. So we'll see what happens here, or if we trend lower. Yeah, I mean the low was, well, according here it says the low is $33,333.34. So pretty interesting. I guess someone set up some buys at 33,333,334 or whatever. 33,333,334. Ethereum's down to 1,045. Maybe grab the popcorn and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, Ethereum, for me to buy Ethereum again, it would have to drop fairly significantly. Like I personally, I'm not personally buying Ethereum over $1,000. Like it just, again, we hope it goes higher, right? We hope it trends higher in Q1. But personally, it seems pretty overextended. Yeah, let's switch this back over to a minute time frame and see what's going on. Yeah, cliff dwellers, right? Cliff dwellers. Hanging on the edge of a cliff. You guys want to go to the anxiety chart? The 1 second chart? Let's look at the 1 second chart. 33.7. 33.6. Again, I mean, these are the dangers of buying high. Again, not to say we can't recover, but it can be very scary if you were one of the guys that was buying Bitcoin at 42K. It's not it's not an insult or anything. Like, I think if you were that guy, then just, don't try to come in at safer times in the past. And Bitcoin might bail you out. Bitcoin's bailed out people for years. That's essentially what it does. So it bails people out. Even when they come in at peaks, it does eventually bail them out. But yeah, okay, so yeah, this is the 1 second chart. Yeah, our low was right here. $33,333.34. Yeah, I mean all these coins are pulling back a bit. Link's at 14 bucks. Dot's down to the $7 range. ADA's around 26 cents. Someone says everyone's selling is forgetting about their tax obligations. I feel like that's a fairly presumptuous thing to say. You know, it's like saying if someone wanted to take profits because they're up 10x or something, as if that's necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? And actually there's a lot of forums that really are supportive for people because you know, like as we've said before, crypto is a personal journey. You don't have to necessarily go with the hot like the hodl meme or hodl meme. Like you don't have to go with that. You can, you know, jump on and then jump off when you need to. Some people have mortgages to pay and you know, they can get to the point they can pay it off. There's nothing wrong with taking some off the table. There's really nothing wrong with that. So don't let people tell you there's something wrong with taking profits. I'll tell you one thing, you don't go broke taking profits, right? You certainly don't go broke taking profits. But yeah, I mean, someone says the chances of it pumping back up tomorrow are very high. It's true. It's true. I mean, like, it could pump right back up tomorrow. We said this. Like, I mean, even when we overlay the bar pattern from, say, this pump, you can see that there are some similarities, right? It's not like we can't drop to these levels we had before, you know, and then we still recovered and continued on. I mean, right now we're back up 34.7. So it's not, I mean, in fact, if you line that up with these, I mean, it's depending on exactly where you put it, right? If you try to line this little hump up right here, we've seen these types of moves. We've definitely seen these types of moves. The issue is that even if this does recover, there will come a time where it won't, right? There will come a time where it won't, and that's the reason we want to make sure we're smart. We're smart about things. I don't think anyone's sure. I mean, someone says, "Are you sure?" I don't really know if I don't think anyone's sure of where Bitcoin's heading. I mean, a lot of us like to be deterministic about it, but we'll see. We'll see where it takes us, of course. So far, it's about the same level of a dip as this one so far, right? Because if you take a percent move down, this one was about a little over 20%, 20.68 or so. This one around the same level, okay, around the same level, 20.92. We've seen 20% moves in this move before, right? I mean, if you go back even further, this was a nice little drop from 19 down here. It was about what, like a 17% move. So we've seen, you know, we've seen these moves. You know, we have seen these types of moves. So far I would say, you know, business as usual, right? I would say business as usual. Not a huge change. But the thing is if it continues, and the downward momentum continues, then it's not like it would take that long for us to, you know, drop into the, you know, into even a lot lower levels, right? If we keep kind of coming up to this line and getting pushed back down, right? So if we were, say, come back up, then keep coming back down a few more times of that, and you know, it obviously is not, it's not necessarily good for the short-term implications of the price of Bitcoin. Someone said to look at the 4-hour. Yeah, he said I head and shoulders. I don't know. I mean, I don't really think that stuff is that useful. I mean, remember this dump from 34 down to 27, and then like the next day we were back at 34. Or yeah, maybe like the next day we went right back to 34, which is actually coincidentally where we are now, around 34. So this, if you look at the top here, that's where we currently are. So, right, this top, and now that's right where we are right now. So we'll see if the bulls will hold the dump off or not. Yeah, so far we're down from the all-time high. We're down about 16%, 16.5%. And then in total we went down 20.46%. Let's pull up the daily time frame. Let's put on the regression curve. Whoops. Let's see where we are. Okay, so this is where we are. I don't really think anyone would be that surprised if it corrected. I don't think it would be that surprising. I mean, it's a pretty intense move. It'd be really amazing if it were to able to continue all the way up to the top of the regression band up here, which by the way, to get there, it would need to get to somewhere between around 55,431 up to 81,675, and that would put it in that band. I was also showing this other indicator the other day. I thought it was pretty cool. I'll go over it again here in case anyone missed it. But I like this, like it's actually I guess we need to look at the BLX. We need to look at a longer time period. I guess we'll do it on a different chart. So let's just look at it on over here. We'll pull up the BLX. And we'll auto this out. We'll actually go to weekly time frames. And then we will put on our regression rainbow. So let's find it. Now this one doesn't show the updated price because it only shows daily closes, but you can see we're currently at around 35K. Yeah, we're right around 35K. So if you go to the BLX, I think this is pretty cool. But obviously maybe not everyone buys it, and that's fine, right? I don't necessarily buy it myself. But I think this is a pretty cool thing. So this is the negative 2.5 log line hypothesis, and that is using this indicator. We notice we have a peak here, a peak here, and a peak here, right? So we have these three major peaks. And one of the cool things is that if you look at, say, the amount of lines we drop down, it's 2.5, right? It's 2.5. So 1, 2, and then half, right? Because this one's at the halfway point. And then if we do it again, we also drop down 2.5. So the rest of this half, and then this one, and then this one. So 2.5. And then if you take it out another time, 1, 2, half. I mean, obviously it's a fairly dubious thing, but I thought it was interesting because we basically got to the halfway point between these, and obviously if we, if we coming to it now, I don't think we quite made it to the halfway point. I think the halfway point exactly is 43, but right? I mean, this is somewhat of a hand wavy calculation. It's not like these are all exactly lined up on the line or anything. But I just thought that was interesting, right? I thought it was interesting. But note that these monotonically move up. So, I mean, while the halfway point might be around 42K or so right now, over time that'll go up. And I mean, by the end of the year, the halfway point would probably be around 60K or so. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, so far it's been a pretty decent sell-off. Let's go back to the hourly chart. Let's switch these off. All of this. And remember, just because you get a bounce doesn't mean it can't keep dipping, right? It doesn't mean it can't. So we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here yet. We said it can bounce. We want to see if it can actually get back on a new track. Because so far, I mean, if you're what I noticed people do is, right, they see it go to 33 and then it's back to 35 and they feel okay. And then maybe later it goes to 31 and then it bounces to 34 and then they feel okay again because it's back up from the low. So don't fall into that mindset. Like it has been a downtrend from 42K. We're $7,000 down. We want to see this, if we don't want the correction, we would need to see this come back up, right? We don't want to keep seeing it getting pushed back down every few hours. The SMA is, we'd have a long way to go. I'm not saying we're going there now. We probably will go there at some point. But again, where it is now is the bull market support band exists from 18,293 up to 20,815. So, and that's the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. So we're pretty far away from those levels, right? We're pretty far away from those. Even if we were to drop to those levels, by the time we were to drop to them, they would probably be a lot higher. Okay, they'd probably be a lot higher by the time we try to test them as support. Even if we were to continue dropping, and we don't know that we are yet. We don't know that we are. We're cliff dwellers. We're dwelling on these cliffs right now, and we're looking to see. Okay, well, we could go a lot lower. We could go a lot lower, but we're standing. We're standing on the cliff, looking down. Right. This is us looking off the cliff and wondering if we're gonna drop like a rock. Or if we're just going to get another mountain to hike and we're going to just start walking up this new mountain. Okay, got the trolls. Or the spammers. We'll switch this over to slow mode, so we try to cut a little bit of that out. So far, we can, this one here was a wick down to 34.4. And then we put in a new wick that took us down to 33.3. So, I remember this wick earlier. Then we had a lower wick. Obviously, this is not, we want this trend to change if you're someone that wants to see Bitcoin continue pushing the limits, right? And seeing how high it can really go in the short term. Of course, right? It's the idea. But let's watch it play out. and we'll see what happens. If anything, I mean, if you believe in sort of the longer term goals of Bitcoin and you don't take profit and you're not someone to take profits, it could just represent a buying opportunity for you. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're not selling because you want to wait out the market cycle and you want to ride the dips, ride the roller coaster up and down, again, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, as we've said before, if it gives you the opportunity, you can take it. If we go back, let's switch this back over. As we said before, if you're ever given the opportunity to come back down, it's a gift. It would be a gift if that were to happen. Someone says, I will ride this to zero if necessary. All right, my man Will says he was buying Ethereum at 185. Congratulations. This is the smart money talking, as we've said all along, right? And this is why it gives him such a leg up, because he was buying Ethereum at 185. It's currently at $1,100. Okay, think about that. When you buy it, when you're the smart money coming in, when the market's calm, you can easily stomach these types of moves. When you're the money buying at $1,100 or $1,200 or $1,300, it's a lot harder to stomach short-term moves to the downside, right? It's a lot harder to deal with it. That's why it really does pay to be the money coming in. At the much lower prices that we had earlier this year. This is the 1 minute chart. Let's switch over to the 5 minute chart and see what it looks like. Decent bounce up to 35.7. Again, we said we can get bounces. Of course we know we can get bounces. The question is, can we bounce enough to sustain it and continue back? That's the question. Because right now, even if we bounced up to almost 38K, we could still, kind of be in a downtrend if we continue to get rejected. All right. Sakenix, adios. James says he's with the guy riding it to zero. All right, we're almost back to 36. Still dwelling on a cliff. Someone asks, is it a blow off top or correction? Yeah, and yeah, someone did say, it's important to keep an eye on the dollar, right? Don't lose sight of the dollar, because as we've mentioned before, this will be a key level for us to look at. We're getting down to the same levels we hit back in 2018, and that was when the bull market ended. So. Well, the dollar has been moving up fairly significantly here. And we said that if the dollar starts moving like this, then it likely will come on the back of a Bitcoin correction, right? Bitcoin will likely correct if you see the dollar moving up. And the dollar is, in fact, putting up a fight right now. Now, one of the counter arguments to this is, well, if we're going to be printing trillions of dollars in 2021, shouldn't the dollar theoretically fall? And of course, the momentum is there. Of course, the momentum says that it's more likely to fall than continue to go up. Because remember, trying to catch a falling knife is very difficult. You simply do not know where it's going to stop falling. So the momentum is there to take it down. But remember, just because money is going to be printed in 2021 doesn't mean that the market hasn't necessarily already priced that in. You have to assume to some degree that markets are somewhat efficient, and that's why the herd tends to get things wrong. If the herd always got things right, then it probably would mean that everyone's intuition about what they thought was going to happen always played out. If you think about it back in March, think about how many headlines and major people in the world, major economists were saying we might be heading into another depression. Um, who even remembers that now? Does anyone remember reading those comments from like all these major economists and these other guys that were supposedly these big guys in the space and saying, okay, we're heading into a depression and whatnot, unlike what we've seen since the Great Depression in the 1920s. And think about how quickly people forgot about that, and we went into one of the most explosive bull markets that we've seen in a long time. Yeah. And so you see how quickly sentiment can change on a dime, because back in March, it's not like people thought that the S&P was going to be putting in much higher highs in 2020. In fact, they would have said, no, we're going into a depression for the most part. And then what did the S&P do? It went up, and it kept going 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 up. So we look at it today, and we're like, well, all these people were talking about this major depression that was coming, and I even put out videos saying, don't listen to this sensational BS, because this is the herd mentality of everyone thinks it's going to be a depression. Well, the thing is if everyone thought it would have already happened. So when we talk about the dollar, again, the cool thing is to say it's going down, and of course, probability wise, it's probably more likely to go down than it is to go up, just based on the momentum that it's headed. But that doesn't mean we don't, that doesn't mean you shouldn't consider alternative possibilities, and the alternative possibilities could be maybe the market's already priced in trillions in printing, and maybe it's going to start going up from here. There's all sorts of possibilities, and the thing is if it does go up in the short term, right, Bitcoin will probably fall with it. This was the dollar's, a pretty 15% drop in the dollar right here, and this occurred from the end of December to the beginning of 2018. So the end of December 2016 through early 2018. Everyone knows what happened between those times. Bitcoin went on a massive run, and then the dollar recovered and started moving up through March. And during that time, Bitcoin was pretty bearish. It was very bearish during that time. And you see this massive spike here by the dollar. That was right around the time that Bitcoin crashed. And then since then, the dollar kept coming down. And then during this time, from March until now, until say January, let's see so far where the bottom was. So it bottomed here on January 6th. If you go look at Bitcoin, where was Bitcoin on January 6th? Looks like it was somewhere over here, and it peaked on January 8th. So Bitcoin peaked on January 8th, which is right around the bottom, right? If we zoom in, January 8th was right here. So it was this one right here. That was when Bitcoin topped, this wick right here. That was when Bitcoin topped. So if this move continues, then I would personally be surprised if Bitcoin were able to continue this upward momentum past 42K. Now, if it continues to drop, if DXY, if the US dollar currency index continues to come back down, then yeah, there's a good chance that Bitcoin will just pick up right where it left off and continue the run maybe to 50K. It's always a possibility. Remember, one of the things we said about Ethereum, okay, is that even when Bitcoin dumps, Ethereum will have a knee-jerk reaction, but it can recover, right? There's nothing necessarily stopping it from recovering. And if you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, it's doing pretty well. It's back to pi 314. Let's switch this over to a minute time frame and see what's going on. So a pretty good rebound for Ethereum. Remember, Ethereum tends to be pretty strong against Bitcoin in January. Historically speaking, it's pretty strong against Bitcoin in the first quarter, at least in January for sure. Through parts of January, anyways. How's everyone doing tonight? Remember to subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. Let's go for 88,000 subscribers. We're currently at 87,810. So if we can get another 190 people to hit that subscribe button, we will be at the next major milestone on the subscriptions. And also give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Glad you guys like the content. Someone says if Bitcoin pulls back 40%, do you think alts can still hit 2017 highs? Well, one of the things we've done is, and we're going to go on a journey, so buckle up. Okay, we're going to go on a little bit of a detour here. So let's auto this out. Let's go back and look. What happened in 2017? So in 2017, Bitcoin peaked on December 17th. Okay, so it peaked on December 17th. We know that altcoins rallied as late as mid-January. And it was in these times, right? Bitcoin dumped. Okay, so here Bitcoin dumped 37%. And then in early January, Bitcoin rose back up 38%. Well, Ethereum in early January of 2018, so starting say January 1st, Ethereum basically then rallied 89%. So it's not impossible for Bitcoin to have a significant, like, I mean, even if this is the top for the next several months, if for all we know, even if that were the case, it can stabilize for a few weeks or days at other levels, and other coins can continue to perform well. Okay, it doesn't mean that they can't. The main reason that they wouldn't perform, like the main reason that there would not be sort of rebound rallies of altcoins where they put in these like insane moves, one of the main reasons would be if Bitcoin just more or less monotonically goes down and doesn't give any type of hope to the space that maybe this wasn't the top. Because back then, I mean, hindsight obviously elucidates the truth completely, but back here, when it started to come back up, it's not like it was a sure thing that we would not break the all-time high. I mean, if in the same manner as it is today, where we continue to put in a new all-time high like every 2 or 3 days, it was the same thing back over here for a long time, and that was why it's so hard for people to buy when the top is in, because as we navigated this bull market, we would drop, but then we would always just pick back up and put in new highs. We would drop, and then we'd always just put in new highs, and we kept doing it, right? We simply just kept doing it for so long that when you reach this point, it's not like when it starts to come back up, you don't know that that's the end. Obviously, looking back at it now, it clearly was, but it's not like we knew that back then. And so in early January, during this week right here, when Bitcoin went up a modest from the bottom, December or January 1st, up to this point, it went up 37%. If you were here during early January of 2018? Let me know in the chat, because you guys remember what that time was like. Early January of 2018 was insane for altcoins. A lot of coins were putting in 10x's in a week, okay? And it was basically coming on the back of Bitcoin having a slight recovery. And then Bitcoin said, oh, just kidding, right? It said, oh, just kidding. We're gonna trend down. And then that is what caused the major altcoin capitulation, which started like an 80 to 90% drop in altcoins, because then we were in the Bitcoin bear market for the next like year and a half. So if you were around in 2018, you remember that Bitcoin peaked, came back down, and then during that move, altcoins went crazy. But you can still see that this top was still lower than here. It was ultimately our dead cat bounce. It was ultimately our dead cat bounce. And you know, we ultimately just trended down for a long time, right? For a really long time. So of course, we're not saying we're at that point in this market cycle. We simply do not know where we are. Every market cycle is slightly different. Okay. Right now we're at 35.8, so we're still holding on. But remember, we said that it's possible for, you know, for this to happen. Let's look at our 2-week candles. Pretty interesting candle so far. The bottom of our 2-week candle is 28,000, and the top is 42,000, which is funny because does anyone know why that's kind of interesting? The bottom is 28 and the top is 42. Well, 28 happens to be twice our prior 2019 peak here, and 42 happens to be 3 times our 2019 peak. So the bottom is 2x from the 2019 peak, and the top is 3x from the 2019 peak of this 2-week candle. So I think that's pretty cool. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content, and give the video a thumbs up. Someone said Bitcoin to 100K by the end of January. I doubt that. If you're right, I would love it, but I doubt that. Let's go take a look at the weekly RSI. Again, I think the RSI is not that useful, but it's fun to watch because everyone talks about it. We reached a level of around 95 or so. It's currently down to 85. Well, we just started a new week. The other chart that we showed that was pretty interesting was this one. So if we go back and put on our regression band, so this is our regression band of the price of Bitcoin, okay? And what's interesting is if you, and actually, yeah, so what we're going to do is we'll switch this over to the daily time frame. And then we're going to put on a new indicator, which is this one. And it's not a perfect match by any means. Again, all models are wrong, some are useful. But if we just take a look at this trend line here, more or less it tries to capture these peaks. So we're still pretty far away. So in the event that, you know, I don't consider where we currently are to be anywhere, you know, I don't think we're anywhere remotely close to the cycle top. We're nowhere near the point on this trend line. But another interesting chart to look at is the extension from the 20-week moving average. So this chart, if we switch this over to the weekly time frame, this chart right here is the log. Let's do it up here. It's the log of the price of Bitcoin divided by the 20-week, right? And then if you look at this trend line, it's pretty interesting. It maybe already broke. We know it'll break eventually, right? But it lines up pretty well there for these major peaks over the macro scale. And this is our overextension from the 20-week SMA. So you can see we sort of broke it. Depends on exactly how you draw the line. If you draw, say, to connecting those peaks, then we clearly broke it. If you say connecting maybe the first and the fourth peak, we're slightly above it. But the general idea is to show that macro level volatility is decreasing. Each cycle, so far, we're not getting as extended at the peak from the 20-week moving average. So it's a general trend down. Of course, it will break at some point because I can't imagine we're always going to. At some point it would have to. Otherwise, it implies we're always below the 20-week SMA in like 10 years or something. So, again, we're not out of the woods yet. It's possible we'll be out of the woods in like a few hours, but so far this is still very much a trend down. Cliff dwellers. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 88,000 subscribers. We're at 87,902. So what does the chat think? Do you guys think you think we're going to go print a higher high this week, or do you think it's time for a more significant correction? A lot of people saying they think it's a correction. Some people say consolidation. Some people say higher high. So pretty much a mix across the board. For us to put in a higher high from where we currently are, we would need to rally, at least another 19% or so to get back above the 42K threshold. I said, we said in a video, sort of jokingly, maybe 42 is the answer to everything, right? 42 is the answer all along. Gregory says, would I buy Bitcoin long term at 33K? Well, I personally wouldn't, but that's just because I'm very risk averse when it comes to this stuff. But if you don't have a significant Bitcoin stack and you're just looking to make sure you have any for the market cycle, everyone's circumstances are different. Of course, everyone's circumstances are different. So it really depends on what your own goals are. So that's really all the advice I can give you. I'm not going to give you financial advice on specifically what you should do in your situation because I simply don't know, right? Everyone's situation is somewhat different. You guys want to look at Ethereum? It's at 1,090. Yeah, it's, as we said many times, if Bitcoin corrects, it will come down with it, right? It's going to come down with it if Bitcoin corrects. It doesn't mean it can't recover later, but we know that Ethereum is subject to Bitcoin volatility. And if Bitcoin is going down, Ethereum is going to come down too. Remember, Ethereum was $585 about 2.5 weeks ago. So it's about it's up 2x in about 2.5 weeks. Are we going to dip back into the 34s here? We're closing in on it. We're at 30. We're slowly coming back down here. Switch it over to the minute time frame and see what's going on. We've been slowly coming down. $35,008. Our little cliff dweller. Let's see if he's going to jump down to a lower low here. DXY is looking pretty strong. This is a pretty impressive move for the dollar. I mean, it's up 1.4% in a few days. Make no mistake, we said it before. We made videos on it. If the dollar rebounds at this level, which was the same level essentially from the 2017 peak, if it rebounds, Bitcoin will likely correct back down. If it continues to do that. Keep an eye on the dollar. I know a lot of people in crypto don't want to look at the dollar, but if you just want some indication, look at what the dollar's doing. If you keep seeing the dollar trend up, like it is now, it bottomed here at around 89.2. If this keeps trending up, there's a decent chance that Bitcoin will start to correct. Someone, Financial Charles says, we've been asking for a dip ever since 2020 and it's finally here. We've been asking for a dip since last year. Has anyone gotten any sleep since last year? I feel like I've barely gotten any sleep this year. I mean, bull markets can be stressful sometimes. Even if you have a plan, to navigate them, which a lot of us do, like they're still stressful because you're constantly watching so much volatility. Sometimes I just want Bitcoin to just chill out for a few weeks. But the problem is if Bitcoin chills out for a few weeks, then altcoins start going up. So it's just like it's so hard to get sleep. All right, we're at 34.7. Is our little cliff dweller gonna jump back down? He jumped from here earlier. Let's see if he's gonna jump down again. All right, 34.4. Let's see if we're going to come back down again. Someone said to play the little thing of my son. All right, I'll do that. He actually just woke up, so I'm trying. No. This is not financial advice. My 4-year-old does not offer financial advice. I do not offer financial advice, but this is what he likes to say.
Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin.
Actually, I should find that that video really quick, or that music clip. Shout out to Ryan for he was the one who put this together. Is this it? No, that's not it. Is this it?
Buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin.
That's my 4-year-old. Shout out to Ryan, he's in the Telegram chat. He's the one who made that, not me. No, that wasn't me. Sorry if someone's ears are bleeding from that, from how loud it was. I can't tell you if it's the same as 2017 or not. I mean, every single time is slightly different. Let's see if we can push back up and put in maybe a higher high, then maybe we'll start a new trend. But if not, if we just keep getting pushed back down, this is something we want to keep an eye on. Oh, by the way, we do have, if you guys are looking for a crypto community to chat and not just hang out on the live streams, we do have a Telegram group with over 12,000 people. So if you guys are looking to check it out, I'll put it in the chat. All right, we're at 34.9. Let's see if, looks like we're not able to put in at least not yet. We're at 34.8. Let's see if our little cliff dweller will keep jumping back down to a new cliff. Remember, we said we can have bounces, but as long as they keep bouncing not as high as the last one, then the general trend is down. Yeah, I don't really use the Discord that much. There is a Discord channel, but I don't really use it. Someone says that they wanted to buy, what would be a good entry point? I mean, it depends on what your goals are. You know, I mean, for me, buying Bitcoin is something I did for the last 2 years, and now I'm just letting a lot of it ride. I'm taking profits as I see fit. It would need to drop significantly for me to start buying again. But again, I don't operate only in the cryptoverse. I also like to venture out into the equity verse and other universes where you can also make money in investing. It's not just crypto. You know, crypto is cool and all, and I like crypto, but you can make money other places too. So for me personally, I buy Bitcoin when it's at very low risk levels. And if you don't know what that means, I do have the premium list into thecryptoverse.com. You can find it in the chat below if you want to find out how I'm navigating these markets. And I use the risk levels that I made for the different coins. It seems to be working out pretty well. But it's good to have a plan, right? Even if you don't want to use that one, make sure you have a plan so that at some point, as we said, it's going to dip and it's not going to recover in the short term. This one still could recover. There's still a chance it could recover, but there's also a chance that we keep trending down. And you have to consider all possibilities. The joke is that, oh, well, YouTubers will say it goes up, it goes down, or it goes sideways. The point is you need to consider all possibilities. And you want to make sure that you don't operate deterministically, like it has to do something specific. If there's a chance that it could do something that would completely wreck your financial positions, then you need to make sure you're being responsible about your investment. We say this in like every video we do. And of course, no one wants to hear it when the prices just keep going up. But when prices start to correct, the sentiment can change on a dime. Right? It can change on a dime. So we're down to 34.5 now. But still, I mean, we're still not, in the grand scheme, this level is still about the same correction that we saw about a week ago that took us down to 27K. So things could be completely different tomorrow. We don't know. We'll see. $34.5. It looks like our low is 33,333 and 34 cents. So if we go lower than that, obviously we're continuing the trend of putting in lower lows. We're currently at 34.5, so we're just over $1,000 away from that. Yeah, guys, I get the whole institutional stuff, right? But institutions exist in a lot of markets, not just crypto, and in these other markets, they can still go down sometimes. Like, I think that people think that just because institutions are buying, the price has to go up monotonically forever. That's just simply not true. And another thing to consider is that, for instance, a lot of hedge funds, as we said before, there's a lot of hedge funds that exist that just because they're pouring in a lot of money doesn't mean they're making a lot of money. And the average life of a hedge fund, I believe, is around 2 years. And one of the reasons is because if they perform really badly, just because they have a good year the following year, they still have to make up for the carry from the prior year before they'll get paid extra from the people that are giving them money. Because you can't, like, if a hedge fund performs really badly one year and then really well the next, the people that are giving this hedge fund money, well, I mean, obviously it's not fair if one year they lost a lot of money, the next year they did marginally okay. Why should the people putting money into the hedge fund necessarily have to pay extra for someone who's just flip-flopping every year? So they have to make up for the losses from the prior year. And so because of that, the average lifespan of a hedge fund is 2 years, because you simply close the hedge fund and then you open a new one. That's the general idea, right? That's why people always open up hedge funds. The one they open doesn't do well, and then the next one they hope it does better, but you need to create a new one so you don't have to necessarily deal with the carry from the bad year that you had. So in the same manner, I mean, obviously hedge funds are just one component of it, right? There's a lot of different components, but just because big money is buying does not necessarily mean that there aren't going to be corrections in the market. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 80. What are we at? I don't even remember what we're at. Yeah, let's get to 88,000. We need 28 more people to subscribe, and we'll be at 88,000. we're just looking at our little cliff dweller, jumping down from each cliff to a new cliff. Yeah, I understand that hedge funds don't buy at any price; they manage risk. But I mean, they'll sell if they need to sell. That's why I'm saying just because big money's buying doesn't mean big money's never selling. Obviously, some institutions are just going to buy Bitcoin and just put it on their balance sheet, and they don't have any intentions on selling it. But there will be large money players selling it too. Someone says Peter Schiff advises sell Bitcoin. He's been advising people not buy Bitcoin for a decade, and during that entire time, he's a big proponent of gold. During that entire time, the price of gold has more or less remained unchanged, while Bitcoin went up like over 1,000,000%. Hey guys, let's keep the political commentary out of the chat. If you want to do the political stuff, take it somewhere else. Ether, I mean, honestly, Ether Bitcoin is still holding up strong. I mean, it's still at 0.0315, so it's still actually doing fairly okay. We have a red candle here because we just started a new week. Okay, we just started a new week. Tom says, let's remember Ethereum was at these prices 2 days ago. It's a good point. I mean, like if just a few days ago we were right here at just shy of $1,100. Bitcoin's still chilling out at around 35K, so no major moves for the last few minutes. It came down here to 34.2 a few minutes ago, and it's back up to 34.9. But the bottom that we saw earlier was $33,333.34. Yeah, as I said, keep an eye on it. DXY, US dollar, is still moving up. It's not good for Bitcoin when the dollar moves up. It just simply isn't. We're now at a humble 1.4% move in a few days, which is pretty big for DXY, which is pretty big for the US dollar. And this again is the same level we started fighting back 3 years ago. This is the same level where the dollar started putting up a fight. Still not a whole lot of movement here. Still chilling at around 35K. Ethereum's at $1,100. And as we said earlier, Ethereum Bitcoin is still doing okay. It hasn't changed a whole lot recently. I mean, as we said earlier, everyone's asking, is this the bottom? This still is not that significant of a move. We're not that far away. I mean, it's if we were to go down, so far we've gone down about 20%. Okay, so far it's been about 20% from the top, about 20%. A 30% drop would put us at around 29K. A 40% drop would put us at around 24K, and obviously a 50% drop from the top would put us right around 20K or so. So, I mean, so far, 20% is par for the course, right? That's not a huge drop at this point. It doesn't mean it won't change, but so far, it's not a huge drop. And again, as we showed earlier, if you were to say take the bar pattern from say over here to here, this wick looks pretty similar. Okay, so we were able to recover. Doesn't mean we will this time, but it doesn't mean that we won't. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, obviously we want to. It would want to break through and start moving back up, but so far we have not done that. So like, I mean, this local top here was at 36. So we'll see if we can get back above that. We're back to 35.3, 35.4. What am I drinking? I'm drinking water. We'll see what the dollar is doing, because as we showed before, right, it really does affect Bitcoin. Let's look at it on the minute time frame, though, and see where it is, what it's doing here. So for instance, over the last, say, 5 minutes, the dollar has come back down, and over the last 5 minutes, Bitcoin has been moving up. So I feel like it really does, there really is a correlation there. A negative correlation, but correlation. So let's keep an eye on the dollar. 90.427 over the, it came up to a top here, 20 minutes ago at 429. Look how funny this is, okay? Look at this. Okay, the Bitcoin bottomed here at 429 on this recent move. Okay, it had a little bottom right here at 429 before having a little bit of a spurt back up. And exactly at 429, if you zoom in at 429, that was this wick of the dollar that then started it coming back down. And then it bottomed again around 433, 434. And then 433 and 434 are here. And then it started going up for the next several minutes. So the dollar actually bounced there too. But the dollar has been trending up, right, for the last since it opened, basically, right? Since it opened, it's up from the bottom anyways. It's up, what, like 0.25% or so. So Bitcoin's at 35K still. Ethereum's still chilling at $1,100, and Ether Bitcoin still looks okay at 0.0312. We're still struggling to move back up. What are my long-term thoughts on crypto 5 to 10 years? I think Bitcoin will still be number one. There's a good chance Ethereum will still be number two. Most of the coins that exist today, probably people won't even know what they are in 10 years. You know, like I feel like a lot of them you won't even know what they are, but a few of them will survive. And of course, they'll be the flavor of the day, right? The flavor of the season will exist for years to come, whatever it is, each and every year, and those coins can pump fairly significantly during those times, but a lot of coins will die. Back to 35.4. I'm curious. I'm curious what the long or the shorts look like here. Looks like a lot of people started shorting over the last few hours. Well, since January 5th, there's been an increasing number of people trying to short. Yeah, the market, I mean, the market as a whole is still incredibly bullish. I mean, that's true. It is. It's very bullish. Until there's a sustained momentum shift back down. I mean, so far, if you look at weekly candles, it's pretty far, just up on up and up. I mean, we just started a new weekly candle here a few hours ago, and that's why it's already in the red. Remember, we have a Telegram channel if you guys want to join that and talk crypto there. I just posted it in the comments. Yeah, Ethereum's still doing okay here. I mean, it's at 1117, and the Ether Bitcoin valuation still looks perfectly fine. I mean, we can switch it. It doesn't really make a difference. Someone said, "Can I take the two guys off the cliffs?" What's wrong with them? They're just cliff dwellers. Are they not allowed to dwell? We'll probably wrap the stream up soon. I mean, the price isn't doing a whole lot right now. I mean, it could take hours. I mean, heck, we could even trend back up to this point potentially, and then get rejected again. They're just chilling. They're not harming anyone. Yeah, I mean, so DXY is 4x trading stuff. You can see it's the last few minutes it's coming down a little bit, and Bitcoin's moving up a little, back to 35.6. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 88,000 subs. Oh, we're already at 88,000. Let's get to 89,000 subscribers. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Someone said he just joined, all I see is the little stick figures. Yeah, these are our cliff dwellers. They're looking to jump down jump down some more cliffs potentially if it keeps dipping down. All right, we're still at 35.6. Ethereum's still doing okay at 1120. We'll probably end the stream soon if nothing's going to happen. Yeah, I was wondering. I was assuming stock futures were down. Actually, someone mentioned it, but I was assuming they had to be with DXY surging. But I'm going to check it out myself. So yeah, the S&P futures are down 0.6%. The Nasdaq is down 0.46, and the Dow is down 0.61. Which makes sense considering the dollar's up. Why is the dollar up? I mean, that's just how markets work, right? It's not just all down. And we said before that to keep an eye on the dollar because, again, as we said before, this was where the dollar put up a fight back at the end of the last Bitcoin bull market. We're not saying that it's going to necessarily recover here, but this is where it put up a fight the last bull market, or the end of the last bull market in early 2018. You can see it started to fight back, and then it trended up, and Bitcoin went into a bear market. So this is why we've been saying keep an eye on the dollar. If the dollar trends up, it's probably not good for Bitcoin in the short term. But I mean, as we also said, I mean, the momentum of the dollar has been down, and if you zoom out on the dollar, I'll switch this over to a weekly time frame to give you a bit of perspective. Right, the dollar has come down a lot more in the past, so we'll see if we break through there. If we do break through this and keep going down, it'll be really good for Bitcoin, most likely. But on the other hand, if we just trend back up for a while and then come back down, it would be a little bit harder for Bitcoin. Yeah, we can check the moving averages. Let's go check. We haven't looked at it. We can check the 20-day. Let's see where we are. Sometimes in bull markets we'll bounce off the 20-day. So I would say keep this one on your radar. It's not that important, as we've said before. But in a bull market, if we do bounce off the 20-day, it can usually be a pretty nice bounce in a bull market if we're able to like hold it as support and then continue moving up. But as we also say, just because you break it doesn't mean the trend can't continue. It just might need to consolidate for a few months or a few days or something before continuing on. So the 20-day right now is at 31,426. So, and we haven't even visited the 20 days since December 16th. So it's been a while. This is our daily chart. think we're probably going to stop the stream soon. We've been going an hour and 35, and the volatility on Bitcoin has reduced a lot here. On the minute time frame, anyways. Someone says, well, I don't get if the US dollar is printing trillions, how's the dollar going up? Remember, markets price things in before they actually happen. So, I mean, again, that's why the herd often gets things wrong. They think, like, oh, we know this is coming, therefore this asset has to do this specific thing. That's just simply not true. Markets are efficient, they price things in. Back up to 35.6, 35.7. I think we'll wrap it up. Remember to check out the Telegram channel. We'll put it in the chat so you guys can check that out. We have over 12,000 people in there, so I would encourage you to check it out. And then also check out the premium list into the cryptoverse.com. We'll see where we are. Again, we've seen the same level of correction we saw about a week ago, so it's still possible we recover and continue on. But remember, operating deterministically is not always the best mode, because there's at least a possibility it continues to drop. So make sure you stay responsible. None of this is financial advice, but just my own experience is best not to act deterministically about the markets, because sentiment can change very quickly. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We'll see where we are tomorrow and continue on. Okay, we'll continue on tomorrow and see where things take us for Bitcoin. So subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Looks like we're heading a little bit back up right now, 35.8. So we'll see how high we can go.